Manchester United and their toils and troubles. A lot has been said about this. I don't want to go over old ground, so I was looking for different angles how to approach this with you as far as why they are where they are right now. One of the things I don't think that's been asked or answered really in depth, I want to get your take on, is where Manchester United are right now, closer to the relegation zone than the top four, more down to Erik Ten Hag or more down to the players? What do you reckon?
I think you've got to put most of it, or the majority, down to the manager. You know, the manager sets his team out. The manager creates the culture. The manager creates the way that you play, the patterns you play. He creates the platform, both defensively and attack-wise. So he has to have the majority of the blame. And the fact that a lot of the players they've signed clearly have been through his influence, the Dutch influence, in particular, the Ajax influence, and the fact that they've made all those signings and they are struggling, the majority of it has to go down to Ten Hag. Now, yes, players inevitably take blame on the field of play, but there's no question that the majority of it has to land at Ten Hag's door. You know, as I said, you can't hang your hat on what they're trying to do. You know, like an Aston Villa, for example, you know that they're going to sit tight and they're going to try and counter. I don't know what Manchester United do. Against the best teams, you could say they sit tight and counter, but then that's only because the opposition are making them do that. Against the weaker sides, certainly in the Premier League, they're unsure going forward. They don't have a goal scorer. They certainly don't have a proven goal scorer. I mean, Højlund's been out injured, but this is a guy who's learning his trade. Zirkzee doesn't look like a goal scorer to me. Marcus Rashford's kind of fallen off a cliff in terms of goal scoring. Bruno Fernandes, his goal scoring exploits have kind of disappeared. I mean, where do you hang your hat on in terms of the players? And you can't hang your hat on the manager because not only is his team performing badly, but when you listen to him in press conferences or any time he talks, it makes no sense. It makes no sense whatsoever. So if he's making no sense to us, I don't know whether he's making any sense to his players, because what you see on the field looks as though they're not quite sure what they're doing.
How much sense do you think he is speaking in this quote? We made the decision from a clear review, what we have to improve and how we want to construct a squad, but we know it'll take some time. Is it just blah, 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 blah?
Yeah. Yeah. What, is this third year? 3 years he's been here? Come on. I mean, I'm not quite sure who... I'd love to know whether the people upstairs actually believe what he's saying. And they're talking about a review. Well, it may be, 6 Premier League games in? There is no change whatsoever to the Manchester United of today to the Manchester United of last season. So it's one thing to talk about the changes that you need. It's one thing to talk about what you need to do. But again, as the manager, it's on you. It's on you to make those changes and show that the changes that you're trying to make are coming to fruition. And you absolutely cannot say anything at all other than it's the same performances. I won't use any derogatory words. It's the same performances this year as we got for the whole of last season. So nothing's changed. So it's all words. Doesn't mean anything.
Here's a quote from earlier today that you gave to our colleagues in England at Sky Sports. I've proven in my career that always I will win. The last 6 years, I have 8 trophies. Now, I spoke with Xhaka at the weekend, and it's been discussed a lot on ESPN FC. It's probably now a case of when and not if he leaves Old Trafford. If that's done sooner rather than later, can the new person in charge get top 4 with these players?
Can you say that again? You froze there for a second.
So when I spoke with Shaka at the weekend, and you guys on ESPN FC have discussed it as well, we've kind of all agreed, and you did as well on FC, that it's more a case of when rather than if Ten Hag leaves. So if they get someone in sooner rather than later, can that someone still get a top 4 spot this season with the players that they're going to have?
No, because they're not good enough.
Okay.
I mean, we've just been talking about going forward. Where's the goals coming from? To win games, you need to score goals, and they're having a problem. I mean, one goal at Old Trafford all season, 5 goals in 6 games. I mean, that's top 4's like climbing Everest. To be fair, when you're talking about these sort of stats, and defensively, they're not particularly great either. They can't defend in the middle of the park, and they can't create chances from the middle of the park either. So you've got a side that can't score goals, don't really create too much, and so whenever they do, they're not taking them, and there's not that many of them, so it makes it twice as hard. I mean, whoever takes over is going to have to do what Man United are going to have to do, is do what Liverpool did. When Klopp took over, Liverpool, I think, finished 7th last season before Klopp. Pretty much where Man United are. And it took time, but the biggest thing, not just the fact that Klopp's a great manager, the biggest thing was the turnover in players. They steadily and slowly but surely had a huge turnover of players. And then it all came together. And that's the model that Manchester United have to follow. Good owners, people in charge that know what they're doing. More importantly, probably as much as anything, well, there's 2 things: the manager and the recruitment. And if you get those things right, then you have a chance. So Manchester United right now need another manager. I mean, it's a horrible thing to say, a guy losing his job, but it's just a fact of life that when you don't do a good job, particularly at a place like Manchester United, then unfortunately you have to move out the chair, and then somebody has to come in. But it has to be somebody who has a strong personality, who's powerful, who will create a culture, bit like what Klopp did, certainly what Fergie did when he came. And then you have to get the recruitment right. So Manchester United are miles away. I don't care who comes in right now. With this group of players, you're not getting anyone near top 4. You need, yes, a good manager, but you need to move players on.